Hey everybody, how's it going? Stadman coming right back at you today, and today I'm going to be talking to you about some stuff that I got from Warner Archive. They had a 4 for 44 sale again. That's one of their classic sales that they do every now and then. And I wanted to take advantage of it and get some cool stuff, so I did. I got 4 titles, 4 for 44. I could have gotten more. The way they do it is you can get, as long as you get them in multiples of 4, you can still get the deal. So, or I think it may even be just after you get the 4 for 44, everything after that is $11. But however it works, I managed to get some pretty cool stuff here. One item I'll start off with just because I know somebody's going to mention it. Well, they would, but I have comments disabled because I know I'm sure, I know there's a lot of my viewers who don't hate me and don't want to be dicks and are really nice and friendly, and I love you guys. And you're probably wondering why your comments off. Why can't I make a comment on your videos anymore? And I apologize, but I just got tired of dealing with all the stupid, hateful comments that I get. I mean, that's just the thing. It's like you get so many shitty comments on YouTube. It's like a cesspool on YouTube. So I was just like, you know what? Rather than randomly getting these stupid comments, which I don't even care about anyways, but rather than having to deal with that crap, rather than having to worry about, oh, am I going to have to go and like flag this? Am I going to have to go and remove this or something like that? Rather than having to worry about any of that crap, I just said, screw it. I'm going to disable comments. Problem solved. So, yeah, I do apologize if you do like to leave comments and you are unable to do so because of that. But, I mean, it's just, it has gotten to that point, guys, where YouTube has gotten that toxic and that stupid when it comes to the comments that just, most people, like myself, are just saying, screw it. Comments off. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is because I'm about to show you a movie that somebody is going to bring something up about. Oh, there it is. Get your I wish I could comment on this out right now. Scream at the screen if you must. Do it. Do it. Tell me. I know. But tell me anyways. Yes, as my good friend Zarin Isaac informed me, the entire contents of this disc are on the Batman animated series set, which I didn't actually know about. I'm sure he mentioned it several times on SNI, and I have a terrible memory. One of the reasons I have a terrible memory, by the way, is because I have sleep apnea, and I didn't know about it for years, and because I had sleep apnea for years and didn't know about it, and didn't get the problem solved really until a few years went by. Well, here's the funny thing. Sleep apnea means you stop breathing when you're sleeping. And guess what happens when you stop breathing? It's not necessarily that I'm dying or I'm dead or anything like that. It's that you're cutting off oxygen to your brain. And what studies have shown is that when patients with sleep apnea have oxygen supply cut off to their brain, it kind of affects their memory. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with my memory. Just I have a terrible memory, guys. I barely remember what happened last week sometimes. And that's why I have to rewatch some of my movies so many times because, well, otherwise I'll forget stuff. But regardless, I think in this case I literally just was not paying attention when Sean mentioned it several times, more than likely, while he was recording a video about it on his Twitch channel, or while we were on SNI and he was talking about it. I just completely didn't even pay attention, didn't even notice. Just totally skipped my head, didn't even get that memo, if you will. Refused to get that memo because I chose not to pay attention. So because of that, I ended up paying $11 for Sub-Zero from the Warner Archive collection. To be fair, though, it's a really good movie, and it does have a lot of great stuff on here, including every single episode of the series that Mr. Freeze was in. So, yeah, that's not too bad. That's not too shabby there. I enjoyed this movie, and I also had Mask of the Phantasm from Warner Archives, so I figured why the hell not get this? But it was one that I was just like, I don't know if I really wanted. I did remember liking this, just not as much as Mask of the Phantasm. So I hummed and hawed about this one for a long time, and then I decided, ah, screw it, I'll get it. And of course, when I decide, ah, screw it, I'll get it, that's when I find out after buying it, oh, it's on the animated series set. Oh, great. Should have just bought that. So yes, get all your wow, you're an idiot style. Get all that stuff out. Have fun. Next up, I decided to pick up a classic. The Thing from Another World. This is the original The Thing movie. Well, it's the movie that the John Carpenter film was based on, at least. This is also based on the same story as the ones that John Carpenter made, but it has a different take on it, a different approach to it. It's more of a 60s B movie, B sci-fi movie from the 50s and 60s. But it's still a classic, and it's actually one that I've never seen. Like, I've seen John Carpenter's The Thing, I've seen the new The Thing, but I never saw this one. And I have been wanting to for quite a while, so when I saw this as part of the sale for $11, I'm like, well, that's a pretty damn good deal. I might as well go ahead and get that. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. Glad to have such a classic sci-fi movie in my collection now. Finally check that out. Next up, I got a movie that I almost immediately sat down and watched, and that is Looker. This may not be familiar to many of you. Many of you probably have not seen or heard about this movie. I know I hadn't. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know what this movie was until I saw it on sale on their website. This is a Michael Crichton written and directed film from, I think, 1981, if I recall correctly. It's the early 80s, I remember that much. And it's actually a pretty prescient film, if you will, because it deals with the subject of, it's the early take on plastic surgery, if you will, because plastic surgery at the time was still kind of a budding technology, or I wouldn't say technology maybe, but it was a budding industry. Yes, thank you, brain. Budding industry. The movie follows a bunch of young actresses and models who have gone to the same doctor for plastic surgery in order to make sure that they fit the right measurements or whatever. And the doctor notes that, wow, these measurements are really precise for what they want. How do they know exactly what they want? And why are they asking for these precise measurements, It starts out like that, and then it quickly turns into like a murder mystery kind of thing, because suddenly, for some reason, a lot of these models end up dying in mysterious circumstances. So the doctor, wanting to know what the hell is going on with all of his patients, just in true cheesy sci-fi fashion, decides to start looking into it himself and investigating it himself, even though he's not an investigator. And it's pretty shocking what he finds, but just the overall message of how women are judged by their beauty in this society, and how they have to be perfect and everything, and how even in this movie technology is deciding whether or not they're perfect enough for something. It's just crazy, because that is very much what we see nowadays. I mean, I feel like it's a precursor to what we see with photoshopping and stuff like that. How if a woman isn't necessarily perfect for something, they'll still take a photo of her, and then they'll spend hours upon hours agonizing over Photoshop to make sure that she looks thinner and more attractive and more like what they want her to look like. So to the point where no woman you ever see in a magazine, no model you ever see in a magazine anymore actually looks that way, if you're looking at a picture of a model in a magazine, I guarantee you 100% of the time, they don't actually look like that. They do not actually look like that. And this is kind of a precursor to that and kind of a commentary on that. I feel like it's a movie that's trying to say, hey, be careful. This can go in some really dangerous places if we really get to the point of judging people on their looks that harshly, and we allow technology to decide what the perfect human should look like, you know. So I saw the trailer for it, and I immediately picked up on that kind of a underlying subtext, if you will. I really wanted to see it because of that, so I bought it and was very glad to have gotten it. But I did watch it because, dead on, that's exactly what this movie is trying to do. It's exactly the kind of commentary it has going for it. And while I wouldn't say it passes the Bechdel test, for those who are even interested in that, even something else somebody can be like, oh, he's talking about that. Too bad you can't comment then, troll. Anyways, while I wouldn't say it passes that test, it does have the main character, the doctor. He does not mistreat the women in his life. He actually treats them as autonomous beings who can make up their own fucking mind about things. You know what I mean? So for an early 80s movie that's dealing with a subject like this, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty damn impressive. So very impressed with this one. I think it's a fantastic hidden gem that if you haven't heard of and you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely check it out. And then finally, last but not least, I picked up Scarecrow, which is another one I'm sure people are not familiar with. Well, I saw Gene Hackman and Al Pacino in it, and I saw it was from like the early 70s, and I was like, is that a new Hollywood movie? Because it looks like a new Hollywood movie. So I went and looked up some information about it, and actually it's on the list of movies that are considered to be from the new Hollywood era. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I decided to pick it up. I also watched the trailer, and it looks like a pretty good movie. Definitely an offbeat, not the type of movie that you always see in theaters kind of thing, not your blockbuster, not your Hollywood fare. This is new Hollywood, though. It takes a different approach to all those kinds of things. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to see it. It's a movie about two homeless guys. How many times do you see a movie about two homeless guys who are trying to travel across the country so that they can start a car wash? I believe in Chicago is where they want to start the car wash. Sounds really not what you would expect to see from a movie, right? It's not the kind of story you see in movies, but you know, that's the magic and beauty of the new Hollywood, is that they made those kind of movies and determined that even though Hollywood said this kind of subject matter is not material for a movie, it's not good enough material for a movie like this, they found out sometimes it can be good enough material. Sometimes it can be really good material. Like in the case of Easy Rider, where it would have been deemed like these two guys have these drugs and they're traveling across the country. It looks like they're actually just transporting drugs or something like that. Like, what the heck's going on? I'm not saying that's exactly what happens, but you know, they would see that in the movie and they'd think that's what's going on. They'd be like, how could you have this movie about these drug addicts? We would never allow something like that. Well, guess what? That was the magic and the beauty of New Hollywood, is that they took what everybody else in the film industry was saying, you can't do that on television, you can't do that in movies, and they said, fuck you, we're doing that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to see this, because it looks like one of those middle finger movies, if you will. Looks like one of those movies that's like bucking the trend, if you will, saying, no, we're not going to make a movie that's like every other movie out there. We're going to make something new and different and special. This may, in fact, be that. And, of course, the fact that it stars Gene Hackman and Al Pacino didn't hurt my decision to buy it either. So, yeah, all told, I think I got some pretty good stuff here. Say what you will about Sub-Zero, but the rest is all gold. It's all really good stuff. So, yeah, very happy with this pickup. So yeah, that'll do it for me today. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.